Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead Season 6. And man, was that episode amazing. JSS is an amazing episode. If you have not watched it, I suggest you do and come back to this video because it is so worth watching that I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it. So I'm going to review the episode, tell you all what happened, and we'll go from there. But it was amazing. Last chance. If you have not seen the episode and you do not want to be spoiled, turn off the video now, go watch the episode because otherwise you will be spoiled. Okay. So for this video, what I'm going to do is of course review JSS, but I'm going to start with the overall thing that happened in the episode and then look at the little pieces that were around it rather than go chronological like I sometimes do. So the main thing that happened in this episode was the wolves attacked. We kind of predicted it from the trailer, the season 6 trailer, and the trailer for JSS, that somebody was going to attack the community. And who else was there? Well, there were the wolves, and it was the wolves that attacked. And man, was that brutal. I mean, they don't use guns that often. I mean, even the one in Conquer that, Morgan took off of that one guy was empty. So I have to wonder if that's for intentional reasons or not, but they were attacking with knives, machetes, blades, axes, anything other than a gun. And they would just, brutally kill the members of Alexandria. I'm assuming that they jumped over the wall. I mean, it's not exactly like they have a lot of protection. They have that one tower, but if you're not looking, the right way, then it doesn't really help. And plus, over half of the community is out there dealing with the walkers, so you're not going to have a lot of guards that can watch the place. So they jump over and they start killing people. Well, Carol, of course, just is absolutely amazing in this episode. She springs into action. We see that old Carol from season 5 when she, invaded Terminus. We see her using her amazing resources again to save a lot of people and to potentially save more people from being killed in that attack. She springs right into action. She stabs several of them. She comes across Aaron, one of the, there is a character named Aaron, the female Aaron, because there's male Aaron, and I think that other woman's name is Aaron with an E, but it's a woman. Earlier in the episode, they were, in the pantry, and all of the women were talking, about various things, and, Carol was there, and she sees Aaron getting attacked by the wolf. The wolf just slashes her abdomen open. Carol kills the wolf, and then you see her having to, put Aaron down in a similar way that Rick had to put Carter down in the last episode. And I think the reason why she did that was for 2 reasons. One, I think, was to put her out of her misery because I don't think there was any way she could have survived. And again, maybe there's this other thing of, hey, you got people that are around, and if they see or hear this, then the wolves are going to attack her then. So I think that was multiple reasons why she put Aaron down. Then she, of course, puts that big jacket, hood, and a bandana on her face, kind of like how we predicted from the season 6 trailer. We thought that it was her that was doing that, and it was. She was very quick to notice, just how these people were, and she just sprang into action. She put a W on her forehead with blood, because she saw people doing that. I mean, there was that one wolf who just took the blood and went like this, on his forehead. Put the W in blood on his forehead. And, you just see her consistently going throughout the episode and killing these wolves. Now, then, of course, you also have another thing going on, because there's various different people that are doing various things during this attack. And we find out that the reason why the horn was blaring was because one of those food trucks, which I thought it was a food truck, gets driven towards the gate, and I'm assuming that they were going to release walkers from it. But Spencer, who was up in the guard tower, was able to shoot the person, and that the truck crashed, and it crashes into the wall, and the body falls right on the horn. So Spencer goes to deal with it, sees it's a walker. He's still a little inexperienced. He doesn't necessarily know all he's doing. And Morgan, who of course was sent back by Rick during the events of the first episode, arrives back and takes care of the walker, saves Spencer, tells Spencer to, hide if he can't fight back. And you have Morgan who goes in and he, helps out with this rescue mission. I mean, obviously at this point, the wolves are attacking and we want to save people. Now, of course, Carol and Morgan's philosophies on how they're approaching this are completely different. We'd heard Morgan say, all life is precious. We've heard him say that before, but yet he understood why, Rick had to kill Pete. Although I think that if Morgan would have been there a little earlier, he would have stopped it. Because as Carol is going around and killing wolves, Morgan says, no, don't do that. We don't need to kill them. Which I'm like, Morgan, are you crazy? Like, you see what these people are doing. They are, butchering the people in this community. And you're telling me we don't have to kill them? Like, are you crazy? But, hey, I can understand, though, on the other hand, Morgan's philosophy. I mean, taking a human life, I can only imagine how terrible that must be, even if you're doing it for justified reasons. I don't think that it's easy. And, you have Morgan who's telling Carol, like, we don't have to kill them. And he does make a note that Carol doesn't like doing it, and he's kind of, in a sense, trying to talk her out of it. But Carol just continues to kill. Even one that Morgan saves Gabriel from one, of course, knocks him out. He and Gabriel start to tie him up. Carol just walks out and bam, just blows the guy away. Doesn't really, care. Hey, look, these people are bad. And, she just has this philosophy of we need to put them down. Morgan has this philosophy of we need to save, we need to not kill them. Just tell them to leave. He's probably thinking that, at this point, they know that they can't beat this place. So, he just wants to let them go. Again, having this philosophy of all life is precious. Now, he does end up, confronting like a group of 5 of them. And his stick skills, which are awesome, he's able to defend himself. And one of them is the second wolf that he met in Conquer. Not the guy with the longer hair, but the other guy who recognizes him. And Morgan he gives that speech. He goes, you need to get out of here. You keep choosing this life, you will die, and gives them the chance to leave. And these people decide to take it. They realize, hey, we've done our damage. We've done what we wanted to do. And hey, that's good enough for us. This guy obviously can outmatch 5 of us. So let's not take the chance. And Morgan lets them go. And those 5 wolves do leave. Many more may have escaped, but many were killed in the attack. And I think that there were at least, 20 or more. I mean, there was a significant amount. I think Carol killed at least 6 or 7 of them. So, I mean, there were quite a few. Whereas we only saw 2 in Conquer, it's clear there are more of them. So, the end of the episode with this attack, many people are dead. Among them, Mrs. Neutermeyer, she's never going to get her pasta maker. Female Aaron, the other woman that Carol was talking to, a guard named Richards, gets killed in this episode. They basically throw Molotov cocktails on top of the wall and he just falls off, just completely on fire. And many other background characters. I mean, quite a few Alexandria citizens died in this attack. And by the end of it, you have Carol who, is looking at Mrs. Neutermeyer's body. And earlier in the episode, she had told Mrs. Neutermeyer, hey, you shouldn't be smoking because, it's killing you. Don't smoke in my house. Like she was going to invite Mrs. Neutermeyer over to teach her how to make pasta without that pasta maker. And Carol basically said, don't smoke in my house, so that's all I ask. Just being friendly, kind of funny in a way with it. And Mrs. Neutermeyer was outside smoking a cigarette when she gets stabbed and killed. And you see Carol, she ends up taking those cigarettes from Mrs. Neutermeyer's dead body and starts to cry. I think that really, just the situation just became too much for her, and she realized, that she doesn't like to kill. And we've known that since, the time that she killed Karen and David. She doesn't like to do this, but she is willing to do what it takes. Then Morgan, of course, finally faces that challenge. The alpha wolf, the other wolf that he met in the first episode, attacks him in the house, and Morgan continually knocks him down, and of course the guy won't give up fighting, and the guy realizes, the alpha wolf, he goes, wait, you can't kill people, and he just uses that to his advantage, and Morgan continues to try to give the guy chances, and he doesn't leave, and Morgan finally says, I'm sorry, and he really struggles, with this decision. He's holding the stick, like just screaming, like he doesn't want to do it. Then he says, I'm sorry, and just smacks the guy, which I'm presuming that he killed him, but we may find out he didn't. We don't actually see the body. When he hits him, it just goes black. So he might have killed him, he might not have, and I guess we're going to have to find out later on what the case is. To get to some other points, because I know I'm running a little long on time here, we have Carl, who also jumps into action. He grabs his machine gun, goes to protect Judith. Enid ends up coming in, and he, keeps her safe. And then we see Ron running from a wolf, in the community. One's going after him, and Ron, of course, is still mad over everything that's going on. He has a fight with his mother earlier in the episode, Jessie. About her relationship with Rick, this friendship that the two of them have, and how he's not comfortable with that. And we do find out, just the severity of, Pete's abuse. It turns out that he had beaten Ron and Sam. Sam, at that point in the episode was crying, still upset over his father's death, and Carol just, flat out told him on the stairs, hey, you need to get over it or else it's going to eat you up, and you're not going to be able to survive and be tough. Seeing that philosophy. And I'm going to elaborate a little more on some of Carol in another video. But, Ron actually can't raise his one arm above his head because of an injury that his father gave him. And, Ron's running from this wolf. Carl ends up shooting the wolf in the leg, and the guy's like surrendering, like, oh, don't hurt me, man, don't, and Carl just walks forward towards him. Of course, the guy, grabs the machine gun, and Carl ends up being able to shoot him. And we see this good nature of Carl, again, still coming out, seeing that he is still a good person, a good-natured kid who, that season 3 kid that we saw in season 3 when he shot Jody, that teenager from Woodbury, we don't see that young man as much anymore. And I have to wonder if eventually Carl will have to bring that back out, of himself, because he almost got himself killed because he wanted to, let the guy go, and, it almost cost him. You also see Carl, helping Gabriel in this episode, offering to help him learn about how to use the machete again. I mean, this really good nature of Carl, I like it, and I hope that he does keep some of it, but I really think that, he's going to be in the next couple episodes, I think, potentially going through a lot of challenges, to see, can he still be this person and help people, or is it going to get him killed? And we may find out, in a couple episodes, he may be changing his stance a little bit. We'll see what happens. We also see Jessie, challenged in this episode as well. A wolf tries to attack her in her own home, and she defends herself, very well. She grabs the scissors, very resourceful, and stabs the wolf to death with them. And Ron sees this, so that was just an intense scene. You have to watch that to really understand just how intense it was, but it was. We also have Maggie and Deanna in the episode interacting a little bit. Maggie is trying to teach Deanna how to plant, seeds to build a garden for the community. And we see that Deanna is still lost in this episode. I mean, she really is emotionally distant. She's struggling still over the death of Reg, maybe wondering, can this community, continue to flourish and become something better? And, Maggie really trying to convince her of that, which is what I think the purpose of that was. We really didn't see too much of them in that episode. I mean, Maggie helped to protect Deanna and Spencer a little bit in the episode, but that's all we really saw. We're also introduced to Dr. Denise. She is a comic book character. She's the other doctor in the community. She was going to be a surgeon, apparently, when she went to med school, but she had panic attacks, and as a result, she became a psychiatrist. Well, we noticed that she's a little bit, she has problems with her confidence, She really doubts her abilities to be able to help people. She seems a little socially awkward, emotionally distant, it seems. That's just, a characteristic about herself. And, we see a situation that she's presented with where Holly, it turns out there is a Holly. We get introduced to Holly in this episode, and she does look like her comic book character, with the blonde short hair. She gets brought in, and it turns out in the trailer, the season 6 trailer, it was Holly that they were bringing in, with the knife in her. And, Denise is presented with this challenge, can she save Holly? And, initially she's like, well, I'm not a surgeon. I'm not a doctor. I can't do this. And it takes Eugene and Tara to really push her into trying, to save, Holly. Eugene saying, hey, you don't want to be a coward, reminding himself of what he was. And, still kind of, isn't at that point brave enough to be a warrior or anything, but Eugene is definitely not the same person as he was before, and really telling Denise, no, you can't be a coward, you can't be afraid. And Denise does try to save Holly, but she's unfortunately unsuccessful, and Holly also dies, in this episode. Denise is very upset about this, asks everybody to leave. So we do see that she has those challenges, and we'll really have to see throughout the season if she can really redeem herself, become a little bit more confident, because the character in the comic book is overall very sure of herself. I mean, we really don't see these characteristics in her, and that's a new spin on the character in the TV show, and I like it, and I think that there's room to work with that. And of course, one of the more important things about this episode was Enid. We have Enid's flashbacks. We see what she was going through in the zombie apocalypse, and it turns out she was with her parents. They were trying to get a car started, and walkers come out of nowhere and eat both of her parents, and she's forced to watch that. And throughout the episode, we see her, wandering around trying to survive, hiding behind walkers in behind a sign in a car. She even kills and eats a turtle raw, to survive. And we see her continually writing JSS. And we're wondering, well, what does that mean? Because that's the title of the episode. And it turns out it means just survive somehow. So it was a phrase. And we see that is a very big characteristic of Enid's, this idea of finding a way to survive somehow. Because in the episode, we see how she came to Alexandria. She just wandered upon it, and she hesitated going in there, and eventually decided to. And I think I realize now why she goes outside the walls. And I think it's because she feels like out there it's a better chance for her to survive than it is behind the walls of Alexandria. She tells Carl, in the episode that she's leaving, that she's not staying. She doesn't want to, stay in Alexandria. And she says there's too many blind spots, there's no way we can protect this place, it's too big. And this idea of JSS, just survive somehow, if she sees that a situation is too dangerous, she's going to abandon it. And I think that that was the point behind JSS and why she goes out in the woods, because at least if, Alexandria would get attacked, or even if she was out in the woods, she has more of an ability to, escape danger. She can run from the walkers. She can, run from people, hide in places in the woods, like in that tree. But in Alexandria, you're trapped behind those walls. And I see her point. And I definitely think that explains a lot about her. And we see, by the end of the episode, she leaves that note for Carl that said, just survive somehow, and she's gone. So whether she left, whether she's still there, we don't know. I'm assuming she left, but we'll find out later on exactly what happened. We have to wait for the future. And finally, just another thing to note, Aaron, male Aaron, was going around the community trying to find, people that may have been still alive, walkers, and putting knives in the skulls of people to make sure they didn't come back as walkers, when he finds his backpack, that he left behind in Conquer when Daryl and Aaron were trapped in that car. He sees the photos inside, realizes that the wolves got a hold of him, which we did see in the season 5 finale. So I think that he's going to be feeling very guilty about that. He might think that it is his fault that the wolves found this place and attacked. And we may see him really struggling with that in these next few episodes, and I think he will. So a lot happened. It's an amazing episode. I think one of the best, honestly, that the show has ever done. I was very impressed with it, and I'm looking forward to what they have next week. So with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close. I want to thank you all for watching. If you have any, excuse me, if you have any questions or comments, don't be afraid to leave them. Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. If you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to do so. I do have more videos coming out this week analyzing some of the things that we saw, so stay tuned. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Thank you.